This is the Self-Storage Podcast, where we share the knowledge and skills from the industry's leading investors, developers, and operators to help you launch and grow your self-storage business. I'm your host, Scott Myers, and over the past 16 years, we have acquired, developed, converted, and syndicated over 2 million square feet of self-storage nationwide with the help of my incredible team at selfstorageinvesting.com, who has helped thousands of people achieve greatness in self-storage. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Self-Storage Podcast. I am your host, Scott Myers, and this week's guest is Ken Van Liew. Ken started his professional career with a civil design engineering job, twins, 2 master's degrees, and a massive amount of debt, but a burning desire to serve others. 16 years later, he cut the ribbon on the development of a $17 million, 72,000 square foot, 113-bed assisted living facility. Then, along with the syndication and development of over $1 billion of high-profile real estate investments, Ken wholesaled 137 deals in 1 year as co-founder of Flipping USA, and then created the modern wealth building formula, which is the fastest track for building wealth and the title of his new book. He then used this formula to propel his company to construct over $1 billion worth of skyscrapers across the New York skyline. In addition, Ken is a best-selling author, has been married for over 30 years, and is the proud father of 3 talented and successful children. So without further ado, please enjoy our wide-ranging conversation with Ken Van Liew. Ken, welcome to the show.
Hey, Scott. Excited to be here today.
Well, I am as well. The conversations that we've had have been all over the board, and we're going to do our best, as we decided before this call, to try to stay focused. But there's so much to talk about, and there's so many opportunities out there in the marketplace right now. And that's really where I wanted to take our conversation. I've given everybody a little bit of background about who you are and what you've done up to this point, but we can go in so many directions. So if you would, why don't you expand a little bit on that, about your background, but then I want to dive into some of these incredible opportunities, because you are an opportunistic person, without a doubt. Let's talk about some of these opportunities that are a little bit different than the norm that you've been the paths you've been going down recently as we head into 2022.
Yeah, it's a great question, and something's coming through me that, you probably never heard me say, or it may even be a little hokey, but I've become at a stage in my life where, I feel my fulfillment comes from paying it forward a lot. As you see in my bio, I spent a lot of years building skyscrapers vertically. And with the way that the world's changed, I could say that I'm actually building skyscrapers horizontally now. So we're doing a lot of development and multi-use with every single type of aspect. And with respect to paying it forward, we've created, the real estate enterprise to help people follow the path and take advantage of all these great opportunities, in today's market. Everybody's so negative. I'm really trying to play the opposite end of the spectrum and say, hey, with every negative, there's a lot of positives. And it's really brought us tremendous opportunity where we picked up a beautiful foreclosure from a bank in New Jersey, which is leading to an affordable housing project and a CVS pharmacy. We just got a great offer from a Wawa. We have another project in Bedminster, New Jersey, where we have self-storage opportunities, residential, and then another real exciting project in North Carolina, where we're building a little city with over 200 residential units, hotel, wellness center, retail, a destination self-storage. We've talked a lot about flex office, but the idea is to create a destination where people, when they get home on a Friday night, really don't have to go anywhere, could just kind of stay in the community. And in a great area, down in North Carolina, hop, skip, and a jump away from Raleigh and other just great locations. And, and that's what we've been doing, and pretty much just giving the message, and the hokey part is here. I wrote the book and I said, people always ask the question, like, why'd you write the book? And sometimes, I didn't really know why. And then you get people, I'm asking people, well, what's your why? And then people are asking you what your why is. And, people sometimes think it's hokey, but, what I really got out of it is, I am integrity, an honest and loving leader with magical empowering skills to create endless opportunity for all mankind and to bring everyone I meet to their greatness and leave them with power, freedom, self-expression, and most importantly, peace of mind, which is, one of the toughest things to get in life, especially when you're playing in big time real estate. It's hard to shut the switch off. You're worrying about things. And I look back at the days I was building 5, 6 skyscrapers at once. Today, it's more of a calculated risk. But if I could look back and do it all over again, I'd want to spend a lot less hours worrying about it.
It's interesting, Ken. I want to dive into that a little bit further. It seems as, I mean, let's face it, you and I have been at this for a little while, more than probably most of the folks that are listening to this podcast. And it seems like to me, there was almost like a switch that went off where, yeah, when, as you put it, you're building 5 and 6 skyscrapers at a time, and we're juggling, multiple developments and acquisitions. And we're keeping track and we're keeping score, and you do keep score by the dollars. I mean, that's how you actually track and keep score. And so that's always mindful and in the back of your head. But then at some point, once we got through all of that, then it seemed like the switch went off when we realized that I'm a steward of all these people that I'm entrusted to. And that is my staff, that is our private equity partners, our lenders, and anybody that we serve. And you realize that, the shift for me was that, and we always were mindful of that, but then all of a sudden there was just like a hyper awareness where all the deals were driven by that. And the money was not even a thought. It's just like, yeah, I know my underwriters and, our staff will tell us if this is profitable. We wouldn't do it if it wasn't. But, what's the impact of this? What is the impact on this area, this market, the people that we're going to serve? And how can we do good with this? I mean, our charities and the things that we support, what kind of impact does this next project do? And for me, it seemed like almost a switch that happened within maybe a week's worth of time. I don't know. Can you speak to that? Was that a progression that you went through as well?
Yeah, it's funny you say it because, you mentioned one thing. We're all stewards, we're all serving. And a lot of times it's a mind game because whether you're working for someone, you're all, working for someone, say under W-2 scenario, you're still always working for someone, right? There's the chairman of the board, as we know, overlooking and telling us what we should be doing the right thing. But it's interesting because, you get to a certain point, and if you want fulfillment, you got to pay it forward, and you really get satisfaction out of seeing other people succeed, and that's really, I think what it's all about. I look back at how I struggled and the time I spent. Today's world, there's so much pressure. I know I might be going off on a little tangent, but we need to be the bold leaders, talking about the positive things and showing people the opportunities. And I probably didn't answer your question exactly, but that was coming through me that, it's not really about the money. And, sometimes you're always paying it forward. You're always working for your investors, and you're always being responsible and doing the next right thing, and it's about the impact. Like you said, what is the micro distinction that you could identify from the wisdom that we've gotten from our experience that has the most impact and really makes a huge difference for as many people as possible?
Yeah, and I don't look at these projects that come into our organization as anything else other than a gift, because our entire team has proven that we are good stewards and that there is going to be some good that comes out of that. And that is the reason why we, if you want to call it win projects or have the opportunity to work on something that is going to have a great impact. I am extremely and hyper aware and mindful of that as well. But one other thing I want to touch on that you said as well, Ken, is that also our students that we work with and even people that I've known in the business for a number of years, it almost feel like a dad when that's just proud of their kids when they grow up, when all of a sudden these people that have come along with us or that we've taught or mentored or consulted with, and they get to that place where several years down the road, they're doing their own projects and bigger ones and bringing us in. And then all of a sudden their entire mentality, mind shift, their place in life is different. And they're working on things that they never would have dreamt that they were doing. It's just like, gosh, the kids are all grown up now. And it's, I never wanted to admit that I'm getting that old to see it, but it's kind of cool. I've got my own kids that I'm extremely proud of, and that's one thing. But then to see the folks that you've been able to, even just, the smallest ways, touch their lives or made them think a little bit differently about something than to see what that looks like. And that ripple effect is certainly not patting myself on the back, but that feels so much greater than anything else that we're doing at this point. And so just fun stuff.
Yeah. And I think, I see the Kingdom Storage and, I'm part of, I don't know if Ellis Hammond's my cousin, he created, his kingdom. And, we're always talking about without margin, there's no mission, right? So you want to be able to help people because some people, at least, I grew up in a blue collar family where, we didn't believe money grew on trees, so you kind of grow up with a certain belief system and you become limited, and the problem is, it's very easy for people it's out there, a statistic, think that you're not enough or think you're going to fail in what you're going to try to do. when in reality, you have a superpower and you can pretty much do anything you put your mind to, and a lot of times because people think that they're not good enough, they don't take that first step, right? Or they think that they don't deserve to make a margin. They just deserve to live in their comfort zone, going to work every day, not putting it down. My wife, sometimes when I say that, she gets mad at me because my wife, thank God she worked in the corporate world during the times I was trying to make it, saved $1 million and liked it. She had her thing. She still, after 3 patents, she does chemistry regulations with cosmetics. I mean, stuff that people can't do unless you've been on the bench and you understand the formulation aspects in the business. And that's where the wisdom that we've learned, is how we pay it forward. It was one of the acronyms in my book, the modern wealth building formula, probably wasn't the favorite title I had for the book, but it had meaning for me. It was all about, I was big into Tony Robbins since I was with him when the towers collapsed in Hawaii at a Life Mastery event. And it was when, I made some serious, spiritual connections, in my life. And it was all about massive action, right? And that's where the M came from, for modern. And I had just finished a course that I took for the 3rd time just because it was really cool. And it was hanging out with all kinds of people. It wasn't a course. It was a conversation about wisdom. And that's where wealth came from, the wisdom, and you heard me mention it before, we're all leaders, but it's those bold leaders. My son's a U.S. intelligence Marine officer, he's in the front of the pack. It's that bold leader that's out in front, and then it's the forward thinking, they'll think out of the box. But, if you're not asking yourself the question, what is it that I don't know? Right? Because it's what you don't know. When you determine that, it's going to be the transformation of your life, right? That's when the glass ceiling shatters. And you don't ever get there unless you're looking at life from a clean slate, not distracted from all the hoopla that's going on, let alone the social media and the drama that comes from all of our family stuff, right? So you got all kinds of things happening, Scott.
Yeah. We do. And one more piece before we get to the exciting things that you're working on, but the mindset is so important. Yeah. And yeah. I guess the last thing I would add to this part of our time together is, Seth Godin is, I heard him on a podcast, being interviewed by Tim Ferriss. And he said, self-awareness is probably the best gift you can ever give your kids. And I know that you're a big fan of that. You've already touched on it twice and talking about that with your kids. And gosh, as an individual, when you look at that, when you finally become comfortable with who you are and what your skill sets are and your strengths, that allows you to then focus on and hone in on making sure that 80% of your time is focused on your unique abilities and what producing the most, what gives you the most satisfaction and joy, and really what you're put on this earth to do. And I think until you figure that out, I think people struggle. And they don't have that confidence in themselves to start, as you just mentioned, and they don't feel valued, like they bring value, or they don't feel like they've slugged it out and they've earned the right to go out and be successful until they really get to that place. And that doesn't happen without that margin. So you've got a handle on it. We're all a work in progress. None of us have ever mastered any of this, but you've been able to create a rhythm that has allowed you to be part of some incredible opportunities. So I know there was at least one out before we got on live here. So if you would catch us up to speed on some of these, the cool things that you've been doing recently and some of these opportunities that have landed in your lap.
Yeah. The newest thing this week, just, we're talking about getting the message out there. There's a documentary that's going to be coming out in about 4 months on real estate and keys to investing. And I've been selected by the Dennis Quaid Viewpoint Project to be part of that. Really, really excited about that. And we'll have a chance to share a little bit about what Global Real Estate Strategies is doing throughout the country. We've really taken a multi-use development approach and educational approach, just because we believe, it's something people, deserve to have, an inexpensive education in real estate. You mentioned it, you're specializing in teaching people how to do self-storage. I'm teaching people how to kind of get out of their own way and see how simple it is. And it's all about finding and funding and facilitating any type of real estate investment that fits your criteria, and we've created a whole global real estate enterprise around that. And this year we're truly focused on data and, working towards some technologies and software on how to process data and take advantage of, a lot of the commercial and land opportunities nationwide, and then plugging that in to some large monies and creating opportunities, for several people that have come into our ecosystem through opportunities of writing the book, and, people getting our message and wanting to find out more how they can get involved. And like I said, the micro distinction, minimum amount of time, give the most impact to my people with the amount of education they need, where I'm not creating any pressure or friction on people. I'm just letting them know, hey, take a deep breath. You have a library of all the education you ever need. You get to talk to me and get some practical shared experience. You're part of an ecosystem that has tremendous relationship equity, and we have your back. That's what I always wanted to hear when I was in New York City swimming with sharks, going, who's going to bite me today? Looking behind my back, But, I grew up in an exciting environment every day. I woke up, it was like, it reminded me of high school. I was an all-state football player. Every day was like a kickoff. We were running down the hill and, running down the field, and, you were hitting every day in New York. It was a grind, and people would say, hey, what you do building skyscrapers, it's just like being on the trading floor of Wall Street. And that always excited me. It was like, if I wasn't building skyscrapers, I probably would have been on the floor of Wall Street, but, here I am today, just trying to take care of people that need help, and, giving a good word here once in a while.
Well, I've been following you for a while, and our paths have crossed a couple of times, and I've always enjoyed our conversations, albeit they were brief ones. But I'm glad that we were able to reconnect here, just to catch up and learn about what's happening with your book and the show with Dennis Quaid. That's incredible. So I don't want to just sidestep that. That takes a certain level, a certain kind of person to get to that level to even be considered for that. And so I can't even imagine what the pool of folks is like. But the fact that you're at the top and got chosen. That says a lot once again about the impact that you've had, Ken. So
yeah, I was pinching myself. This guy from Highland Park who, one time I weighed 246 pounds, and that's when I climbed a telephone pole, stood on top, and then walked on 45 feet of fire with Tony Robbins. And that was my stake in the ground in 2001 when the towers collapsed, to be here today to have this conversation with you. So it's an honor, and I'm very grateful, and I thank God for my success, because I could have never did it myself.
I certainly not this knucklehead could have got to the place where I ever thought that I would be, and still got a long ways to go, and not up there near the top at all. But every day, same thing. I pinch myself, and just every bit grateful compared to where I came from and where I started out. So yeah, we all need help, and we recognize where we get our strength from. So
Yes.
let's talk about. You've got some might behind you as well, and not only the experience that you've had, but let's talk about this project that you've got going on down in North Carolina. Really, kind of how this started, and your role and your position in this, because I think it's an interesting one that people would like to hear.
Sure. It's just a pleasure to share this, because I kind of learned from the top down thinking, right? I didn't know how to buy a residential real estate at first. I learned how to build a skyscraper. It was kind of unusual. And then after doing that for a while and getting really good at it and earning a license, I was making really good money. So I no longer could become an engineer, but I had trained as a civil engineer and won a design development award when I graduated college. And that was the seed that planted. So between building skyscrapers and winning this award as a senior in college, one day I was destined to be, a developer. And, I started the project in the role of, really the builder, a super in the field, worked myself, project manager, project executive, ran teams, eventually was running multi skyscrapers, eventually had a concrete company, but I started at the bottom, and worked myself way up. And, I guess I could say I learned how to design sites first. Then I learned how to build them. And I went and, picked up a master's degree, second one from NYU, and how to develop and finance. So I learned how to kind of put all the pieces together. And I was standing out looking at Manhattan, on top of a 30-story building I built in Brooklyn. I was in debt because I just had twins, and I was like, I got to do something else here. I like building skyscrapers, but this is going to get boring after a while, I think. But I built a few more, and a couple of years later went out on my own and and just took the role on, prior to that, I was building for other developers in New York City. And, what that role is essentially, you have to acquire a site, you have to put a design team together, you have to put drawings together, you have to buy it, you have to get all the approvals, you have to, build it, turn it over to a management company, do all the legal agreements, write all the condo associations. So you're never bored. You got plenty of stuff to do, right? So I really love that role. And that's the role I play today. I'm the one that goes out, finds a property, finds it, puts together the whole syndication, private placement, funds it, puts together the financing, all the design development, hires architects, engineers, environmentalists, got it all going, get together with the planner, go in and talk turkey, put everything together. We're actually got up to about a 60-page standard. And that all, you said, where did it all start? It all started with all of that technical stuff, but where I used to think the technical aspect was 95% of the success and 5% the people, it's actually the opposite. So even though I had all this technical experience, it's 95% people, 5% technical, but it takes the 30 years to build a relationship of a friend that I built my first project in Poughkeepsie that handed, someone a book who he met at his condo in Myrtle Beach, through just talking, and said, hey, you got to meet this guy. And the next thing you know, that guy called me and said, hey, I have this piece, 45 acres in Lewisburg. Why don't you come check it out? And the next thing you know, we're in contract together. And now we're offering surrounding properties and trying to assemble something into, just a massive, maybe 150 acre property. But right now we're fully on board, going full tilt. We're probably 60 days out from filing a zoning application in Lewisburg, North Carolina, to do that very exciting project that we described.
Well, congratulations. And, we just touched on that briefly, but I thought it was something that definitely wanted to share, and also the backstory, because these things don't just happen. And, I was listening again, I'm a big consumer of podcasts, and also read quite a bit. And you hear over and over again, there's, Dave Ramsey will say, you just, all of a sudden he got on radio and he was an overnight success who was 30 years in the making. And, to get to a project like this, Ken, which is, you're already on the map, but to do another one like this, or anybody that's got a big project, they say, wow, this is the one that's, going to put you on the map, and you just became an overnight success. But it all starts with reading a book or an introduction to someone 15, 20, 30 years ago, somebody that gave you a break, a banker that took a shot, a chance on you when they shouldn't have. I look at all the things that fall into place for so many folks, including myself, and you get to this place, and it is humbling, but then also to realize if you continue to operate from a place of integrity and you carry that on through your business dealings all the way down the road, then it's not a surprise that some of these things happen. So once again, kudos to you for that.
Yeah. And if you don't mind, I just want to say, and yes, without integrity, nothing works. But for those of you who are sitting there like saying, I can't, I want everybody to know my first project, which was a $17 million project because it was financed through the New Jersey EDA. I didn't know what I was doing in real estate by myself. I had some experience I had done for others and I had built, but everybody has an experience they could bring to the table, right? And the thing is you just got to give it a shot, right? And if you're looking to make a transition or get started in real estate, just break it down. It's about finding a deal, then figuring out how to fund it and how to facilitate it, and don't look at it as a 1,200-pound elephant that you have to eat in one bite. It sounds, as I heard myself explain it, and then I heard Scott start speaking, I'm like, wow, I made that sound like it was really easy. And people are probably saying, oh, I can never do that. But, you can do it. And I just want you to know that the good news was I knew how to build and I knew how to earn a fee by building. And that's what kept me up late at night to figure out all the real estate stuff. And then ultimately, as I did it, I put together this 12-foot linear matrix with step-by-step of every single step in the development process, which, Scott, I can even share that with you for the listeners, and would love to have you as an honorary member to the enterprise. But, the step-by-step of the development, if you, have the passion that I do, want to pin it on your wall and learn about development, or cut out a section and learn about acquisitions or about flipping the entitlement. And there's so many phases during the development that you can make money in real estate. And it just opens your eyes up to all the opportunities. And it's about getting people like, the dream teams I build are about people that are better than me in certain areas, and continuously surround yourself with people that are better than you and let them succeed. I think it's Richard Branson's billionaire formula. Like you have to get very clear on like what the outcome is, what the product is, what the culture is, then hire the best people to execute, and then make sure that they're successful and that you don't run out of money. And that's all you got to do. I mean, it sounds easy. It's the approach I take, try to get other people to step up, let them grow. And, it seems to be one big happy family. So.
Well, the theme of this is, as we're seeing and as you're hearing, folks, you can't do it all on your own. It's a part of being self-aware and then surrounding yourself with people. There is no such thing as a self-made man or a self-made woman or a lone wolf. As the African proverb says, if you want to go fast, go alone. Or if you want to go far, go together. And it takes building those rock star teams. And we had a conversation, a mastermind I was in a long time ago, Ken. The question came up. We were in Philadelphia. I remember walking to the famous Philly steak place, sandwich place. I forget where it is.
Philly steak. Yeah, right. I've been several times.
And we're heading down there, and I was having the conversation with 2 or 3 of us that were walking. I said, how on earth does Richard Branson do this? I'm struggling with the 5 staff members I got at the time, my direct reports, and the handful of other folks that are secondary to that. How does he build multiple businesses and have hundreds and hundreds of employees, and they're all moving in concert? And how does he even have time to keep an eye on these things? And it just, you reverse engineer it, and it all comes back to he hires the best lieutenants to run those. And like Keller and some of the other folks say, there's only 5 people that really should report to you and that you can really influence. And then they go out and build their teams underneath them to be able to run a business, a large business, or multiple businesses. And so as long as you don't lose sight of that and recognize that, as Confucius says, a man who chases 2 rabbits catches none or catches neither. And if you're trying to do all those things in multiple businesses, it's not going to work. You've got to hire the right people to just handle those small areas that you can't, and let them do their thing and make sure that there's money in the till.
Yes, indeed.
All right. Well, Ken, as we wrap up here, I think we are destined to have podcast number 2 and repeat to get into more of your storage projects and how our lives really intersected on the storage side. You are in multiple asset classes in real estate, and we'll come back and drill down a little bit more on the storage side. But before that, what we've been talking about right now is really the framework, the processes, and really the how to go about doing this. And so if you would tell everybody how they can get in touch with you to get a little more time with you, theoretically speaking, and how to get a hold of your book.
Yes. Yeah, the easiest way is just, check out my website. It's kenvanliew.com, KenVanLiew.com. There's a little discover how button. If you wanted to talk to me, that will literally go to my calendar. You could also, if you click on the programs page, I give my book away for free. You have to pay for the shipping. Or if you just want an e-copy, you can grab my email, send me a copy. I'd be glad to send you that also. Not here to shake you down. I just want to pay it forward. We got the 11 Millionaire Secrets, the 8 Golden Nuggets. We give away free gifts about getting started, my taxation filtration system, and it's all at kenvanliew.com.
Modern wealth building formula works, folks. Trust me, it works. So go grab that. And Ken, outside of obviously books, you've read a lot of books, you've written a book. So why don't you talk about maybe the 1 or 2 other books that have either impacted you the most or that you've gifted the most to someone else?
Yeah, 2 books that I really love the most. One is called Gap versus Gain, where I found myself for years always focused on the gap versus the gain. So, when we start something, we're at the bottom and we're shooting for the top. We get to the middle and we're still complaining because we're not at the top yet, instead of focused on what we've achieved. It really gave me a perspective that changed my whole life. Another book that was just profound was recently Cal, I forgot his last name, called Deep Work. Yeah. And I realized that my success came from deep work. I woke up and, I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning and worked till midnight every day for many, many years, probably close to 30, calculated at over 125,000 hours in. And, I realized when I was writing the book and involved with some of the, I guess, the stuff that goes on out there in that world, it was very shallow. And I realized I didn't feel comfortable, and it's fun and there's a lot of ego in it and stuff like that. But, I'm not the kind of guy that's going to, fly all around, talk on stages and, have to do all that kind of stuff to feel fulfilled. I know that I could pay it forward other ways. And, the universe will send the people to me who need my help. That's just how it works.
Well, Cal Newport is the author, and he just
Yes.
recently was a guest on Tim Ferriss's podcast. And we will put a link in the show notes, as well as a link in the show notes on how to get a hold of your book as well, Ken. So, Ken, always a pleasure. So glad that we were able to sit down and have a lengthier conversation, and then also to share it with Storage Nation out there. So appreciate your time, and keep an eye out, folks. We'll have Ken back for number 2. Thanks, Ken.
Scott, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Take care. Hey gang, wait, 3 things before you leave. First, don't forget to subscribe to the Self Storage Podcast and turn on your notifications so you never miss another episode. And while you're there, please leave us a 5-star review if you like the show. Second, be sure to share your favorite episodes and more via Instagram, and don't forget to tag us. And lastly, head to the links in the show description and hit the follow and subscribe button on Twitter and Facebook to get a front row seat as we grow and scale our business and bring you along with us. Take care.